So, hello everyone. I was briefly introduced. I'm going to be blind after this presentation. This is really, really nice. So just a question, who has seen a presentation of mine in December? Just to get an idea. Okay, one or two people, good. So it's not going to be, so it's going to be new. So just to get a more idea what kind of people sit in here, because of course I can do my standard presentation, but maybe we have a totally different audience and that doesn't make sense. So who in this room is actually from IT management, let's say? Okay, good. Do we have any developers in this room? Okay. Do we have anyone in the room who's actually in a business function? Okay, wow, this is a broad crowd. So it's going to be, and try to cover, and just to get a little bit further, who has ever worked with Power Apps? 1, 2, 3. Microsoft Flow? Okay, so what we're going to do is a bit of an introduction. The beginning is going to be a little bit techy, but bear with me. It's important to understand where we're coming from. I'm going to have a live demo. I'm really shaking with the internet connection. We tested it 2 days ago. Everything perfect. Today not. Let's see how it works. And I'm going to give you a lot of examples. So the whole idea is really that to give you an insight. In my position, I think it was already introduced. I actually worked for 12 countries. I'm based in Zurich. I'm in Microsoft since 2 years and in the tech industry since about 10 years. So let's get started. And clicker doesn't work. This is good. Okay. So let's set the foundation. And this is it looks a little bit tech heavy, but bear with me. Even if you're not very techy, I'm just going to go through with you, right? But it's important to understand because a lot of people have heard about Power Apps, would say, yeah, what's it? It's another product of Microsoft. Or Flow, yes, it's a small thing to do, to automate my day. But this has a huge impact. And I am going as far as saying, can you reconnect, please? Thank you. I'm going as far as saying that this is the fourth Microsoft Cloud. So do we have the projector back? Yes, perfect. So to give you a little bit of a context, right? So we heard in the previous presentation something about Dynamics, our business solution. And just to give you a little bit of context, when we talk about Dynamics, when we start developing things in the background, optimizing something for a specific process, we have a framework. So we usually have a database, we can do plugins, and usually our customers don't just use it out of the box, they can, but they will optimize it towards the processes they have. We just had an insurance company who had an insurance process, so you can't use out of the box CRM, and that's what was the status quo until around about May 2018. So if you want to do something which was something with a business and a process and want to develop something, you needed to buy Dynamics, and that sometimes was a challenge. Why was it a challenge? Dynamics is a great solution, but sometimes you don't need everything. Just want to make something small, but you still had to buy the full license. Just from the ecosystem, so our partners, if they wanted to do anything with a business business process and build an application, they needed that. Then suddenly about 2016, 2017, we introduced something new. That was last year, Talent. That was a new solution. And Talent was sitting on a totally different database. So the common data service. So we suddenly had two databases. But it wasn't only Talent who was in there, it was also Power Apps. And then we had our ERP system. And the ERP system, just from a database perspective, has a different challenge. You need a different foundation because it's a different beast. But so what we did, we connected the CRM and the ERP system over our common data service. Now you can say, wow, these are 3 databases, and is that really, really good? And I already marked 2 different app types here. So we're talking about applications a lot today. We see here the term model-driven app and the term Canvas app. I'm a non-native speaker. I'm originally from Bavaria. And just to clarify what a Canvas application is. A canvas comes from the English word of a canvas from an artist, right? You have a blank canvas and you start drawing something on it. And that's the whole idea of the canvas applications. You create an application for your mobile device, pixel perfect as you like it, right? Here, coming from the CRM world, we talk about model-driven applications. Here, it's not about having that pixel perfect application, but really building a complex process. So you would rather, when you go into the development of a specific process, you would define the process and the application falls in place. And so that's just to clarify the terms. When you look into Power Apps, you will come across these terms. If you look into licensing, you will come across these terms. And so basically, what happened, oh, this is an interesting sound. Let me just see. Oh, it's not me. Okay. So what we basically did, we brought everything together. It made sense, right? We already had our talent on the common data service, a totally new database structure. And now we brought our whole CRM system on top. And now the cool thing is, you can actually buy it without Dynamics. This thing is not dependent on Dynamics. It's the foundation of Dynamics, but it's not dependent on it. So and with that, we actually brought, before Power Apps about 1 to 2 years ago, if you tried it out then, it was a good start, but it still had a lot of challenges. We're now in a stage where it really starts to become mature. And just to go back to clarify what really happened in May, this whole development environment we had from our CRM system, what we called XRM, is now part of the Power Platform. And that's a huge step. A lot of functionality came in here. And so this, you can really say, if you're a little bit cheeky, what we've seen before, field service or sales, CRM for sales, all that is just a Power App, right? It's all developed on Power Apps. So, and if you have the question, is this really mature? We're running our whole CRM system on it. We're running everything on it. So just to clarify, now to put this a little bit in perspective. So, okay, Microsoft, yeah, you're doing this database thing and it's, it's growing together. That's nice for you, but what is in it for me? Why are we doing this? One of the key topics, when you, so from a product perspective, you will not hear it from a product. It's not, it's part of Power Apps and Flow and Power BI, but really one of the key parts is a common data service. This is the database, and it's based on a so-called common data model. So this is really where you actually will have everything defined in your database. That's kind of the business data layer you have. Let's put it in perspective. You might have heard of that one, right? So we, with our competitor SAP and Adobe, our partner, we actually announced together that we're going to have an open data initiative. And all the work we have done prior was the foundation that we could actually do that. The idea is, of course, we want you as Microsoft to have our CRM, our ERP, our Office, but the reality sometimes is different. I'm going to use a word. You might have an SAP or a Salesforce. That's reality, right? It might change to us in the future, but for now, it might be the reality. So, and the idea is, in every single silo, you will have similar data. And this is the idea of this initiative with SAP and Adobe, that we're going to open up our data. That's going to be more easy for the customers because the data has to flow around. If you look into a cycle, if you start a marketing campaign, or if you even before that, if you start targeting in advertising online, you will have all that data in Adobe. And then you start a sales process, and you will have customer IDs, maybe even opportunities flowing through different systems. So that's the background. Okay. So we got it. It's kind of a big thing, but how does it now fit into Microsoft? Because everyone knows the big products we have. So let's have another step back and just look into what cloud products we have. Don't be bored. It's only taking 2 minutes. Our infrastructure and platform as a service is Azure. That's all the goodness where we also have all our AI stuff in, right? This is where we get the blockchain and all that development potential we have in Azure. Then, of course, we have our SaaS clouds, right? Modern Workplace, Office, and Teams, and all of that. And then, of course, we have our Dynamics, our CRM and ERP system. And now we have a new kid on the block. And that's Power Platform. I'm sometimes asked, where are you, in what team do you work, Toby? I officially work in Dynamics, but I'm definitely not saying I'm Dynamics. I'm sitting in between. Power Platform is running on Azure, and background of it, why it was originally developed. It was originally the first development idea was to have a successor for access and info paths out of the Office space. But then they said, let's make it a little bit bigger. So just to give you an idea why we really sit in and how this all flows together in Power Platform. You have a lot of data in Office, a lot. Calendar data, call logs. You might have seen one or two presentations from the service side. So you had a lot of data you can actually analyze. Then you have a lot of functionality in Azure. So if we have certain functions with AI coming in the future, but now we already had a year ago, a colleague who was actually pulling data out of call logs, out of Office, putting it into the common data service of the Power Platform, analyzing it with the Azure Video Indexer, and allowing it to have sentiment analysis on the call, to have a word cloud, to actually search for certain topics and directly go into the call. And then we actually write it to any system, in any service system you have. So just an idea what this platform can do. So I talked about Power Platform. Now, what is it, right? So let's look into the products which are standing behind it. So just from a product perspective, it's 3 products we market. It's Power Apps. That's what you've seen before, Canvas model. It's all about creating an application. To clarify, this is only for business internal applications. It's currently not for customer-facing applications you would put in an Apple App Store, for example. So this is for internal applications. Flow, I often describe as IFTT for business. So, okay, techie guy, what is he saying there? IFTT is something from our home. It's a protocol called if this then that. You might know the lighting system from Philips, the Hue system, right? Where you can change the light bulbs with your smartphone. I have one of those systems at home. What I set up is when I'm going to arrive at my door, my mobile phone is connecting to the Wi-Fi, and once I open the door and it's connected, my lights go on. And this is the same principle for business processes and flow. You have a trigger, something is triggering you, someone is changing something in a database, or I don't know, an email is coming in, or a tweet is said with a certain word. There's always a trigger and an action, and you can actually design those things and can start automating across different databases. And Power BI, you might know, that's the underdog started a couple of years ago, who's really rolled through the market, and those are the products. As I said, and that's a nice thing a colleague of mine, a very dear colleague from Ireland of mine said about it, the magic ingredient, the magic source of the Power Platform is the common data service. Because you can create a lot of quick applications. As I said, we can connect to anything. Out of the box, we connect to more than 200 databases. We don't care what it is. It can be our Microsoft products. It can be an Excel. It can be, I don't know, a Salesforce. It can be a Dropbox. It can be Twitter. And even if we don't have an out-of-the-box connector, you can build your connector on your own. And it's all documented. At the end of the session, I'm going to give you a small link to a point drive where you will have everything to get started. So you can create your own connectors. And we don't care if it's in the cloud or on-premise. So basically, you can connect to any legacy system. It has to have some foundations, some technical, but you can do that. I actually had one colleague who was challenged by a customer. So that was in Norway, and they have an open website where all the companies are registered. And so the company came to him and said, yeah, there's a database in the internet, and you said you can connect to anything, so can you connect to that? And he created a small app where you can actually look up a company and get the registration codes, the tax registration code, pulling it out of the internet in a mobile app. He created that in 3 hours, including the connector. So just an idea here. Behind that, the common data model, where actually everything in what we have in Dynamics is built on that, and the data connectors I mentioned. So now I can say, okay, Toby, Nice. You can create apps. And you might be able to create apps a little bit faster. But there was something about 10 years ago called RAD, Rapid Application Development. So what is new about this stuff, right? It's the audience. And that's the next one. It's about that we can start tackling topics from simple to complex. To give you an example, really to start creating an application can start with a Microsoft form, which is an Office, and then integrating it with a flow to kick off some approval process. It can go as far as that we can start creating simple line of business applications. And I'm going to give you a demo in a second. But the idea here, I'm introducing a new term now, is that these things, which are pretty simple or not too sophisticated, can be done by a so-called citizen developer. So what is that? So the term here, you might hear from Gardner or Forrester, they define it, citizen developer always goes with the topic of low code, no code. So the idea is to have someone who's not from IT, who doesn't not necessarily know anything about coding, but someone who can start creating applications. So just to be clear, when I started this job, didn't have any experience. I just read marketing slides, and then someone challenged me. It's not that easy. And just to be clear here, you have to learn something. I compare a citizen developer to an Excel expert. Everyone has someone like that in a department. That person will know something about where to get the data from, right? How to shape the data. They will know something about functions in Excel, maybe about VBA scripting, not necessarily, but it's not someone coming from coding. Someone who likes working with data and with numbers, and who, but he did some learning. It's a similar thing here. So you will need to do some learning, and I would say it's not for everyone, but you now have something where you can start empowering people in a department to do something themselves. But it doesn't stop here. So when in the beginning, I only talked about that, and then the IT guys felt left out. Why is this? This is not really something I like. I want to do proper programming, and why should I do this? But at a certain point, we realized also with customers that when you get to a certain complexity of a challenge, of a problem, you can have a good foundation here, but then you might need someone who is a little bit more background to do it. So first of all, IT will definitely have to do all the plumbing. Similar as in Power BI. Power BI, before we had it, what happened was analysts, they went to IT, said, I want a dashboard. IT said, okay, you're going to have it in a week. Then the analyst said, okay, I want to change, and that went on. So with Power BI, the approach was, okay, IT is setting the foundation, linking in all the data, that everything is synced, and then the analyst starts building the stuff on himself. And the same thing goes for Power Apps. We'll start syncing all the data in the common data service to have a foundation, because you don't want a citizen developer to mess around with your different legacy data sources or whatever. But you shall have one view of truth of business data and develop on top. So there's a whole bunch of work also for IT on this. I would not recommend just to open it for everyone. There has to be a concept behind it. But finally, IT will have a tool to get business also, into the loop. Business now said, I want this. Oh, it's too expensive. And now I want to change a button here. I want that. It takes time. It's expensive. They're complaining. Now they're actually in the same boat. They can start doing stuff, maybe create a first draft of an application, have the processes defined, and then IT comes in, saves the day, and makes it really nice. So this is also a concept for partners, that partners can actually help our customers to manage this stuff. And if customers say, hey, we just have a couple of contact points and you create it a lot faster than before, we're happy to do so. The good thing is my colleagues in Portugal have been very, very active. I've been here 4 times last year, and I'm quite happy to say out of Europe, we have a lot of good partners here already in Portugal. ProDev also goes into the real advanced stuff because, as I said, you can do a lot with the Azure stuff. When you ever ask yourself, okay, we've seen AI, it's going to be it's integrated more and more in our products, right? But what can I do with it? Then because maybe my Azure colleagues come and say, we have these functions, but how do you integrate it in your business process? Power Apps and the Power Platform is a very, let's say, can be a very easy interface to do that. I'm going to show you a demo in a second. Also blockchain. To give you an example, that was in Switzerland. It was a small insurance company. They had a process for their life insurance running on Access. We can't really say that loud, but they did it. And they wanted to make it new. We had a young partner. The young partner went into the game and said, yeah, we're going to do Power Apps. And this partner didn't come from Dynamics or anything. They came from the SharePoint area. So not really into business processes. Then they came in, said, let's do it with Power Apps, and realized we can't do it with those Canvas apps. Let's do it with those, CRM stuff. And they actually created the prototype in 3 weeks and rolled it out in 3 months. In those 3 weeks, what happened after 2 weeks, the customer came around the corner and said, this is nice, but we want to be cool now. We want to do blockchain. So the nice thing is, out of the box, we integrated it with Azure Blockchain. We designed the process very easy in Power Apps, and I'm now writing everything to blockchain. My colleague said from 0 to hero in 3 weeks, from concept to prototype to rollout in 3 months. So now I could show you Forrester Gartner. Yes, we are on those quadrants, just since a short period of time, but we are. I actually like PC Mag. Why do I like them? Because it's very transparent how they came to their conclusions. They just put power users and so citizen developers in IT together, and said develop some applications. And you can look it up. The last 2 years, 2018 and 2017, we were editor's choice and really transparent about what they tested. So that's why I like to pick them. But we are on Forrester and Gartner if that's important for you. So now it's a worrying part. Let's do a demo. I prepared everything. So let's see if it works, if the projector works. It's always the same thing. You can do as much testing as you want, but sometimes then the technology just is a bit of a challenge. But that's why I'm here, and that's why I have to be a good speaker. So what you're going to see in a second, okay, disconnect and reconnect, turn it on and off again. Might come back in a minute. Okay, which is good. So let's just duplicate my screen. Do it this way. Okay, so what you see here is now Canvas apps we talked about, right? So let me just make it a little bit easier for you to see. There we go. And I hope you see it fine. What I'm going to do in this very short demo is just walk you through the process of a small Power App. And you're already going to learn 1 or 2 functions. And just bear with me. I'm marketing. I'm a bit of a geek. I like Star Wars, but I'm by no means a programmer. So just to give you an idea that this can be really easy. What you see here on the left are the different screens of the mobile applications we have. So we have a home screen and we have a different screen. And on every screen, we see that we have certain objects. So this one here is an object. It's a label, right? So that's how it's structured. On the right-hand side, we can start manipulating these objects. And this was a little bit slow. Normally, you can see it's loading, but you can actually normally quite quickly change the color. So internet one turned better, which is good. So it's really, you can't really say it, but it's sometimes advertised as it's a mixture of Excel and PowerPoint. What you see up here is the function, and you might know that from Excel. Most of the functions you know from Excel actually work in PowerPoint. In Power Apps. So there you can see that if you have an Excel expert, that person is pristine to actually work with Power Apps. So what kind of example is this? This is an example from one of my dear colleagues. A customer challenged him and said, yeah, I know you have these nice service applications from Dynamics, but it's too big for me. I have the following scenario. I have about 20 different, 20 different buildings. Not in every building I have a janitor, and I need someone to go through those buildings and actually tag problems. And I want a picture of that. I don't need a big service system for that. It would be good to have the data there for the future if I want to evolve, but for now I just need a simple system. Oh, there's a problem, make a photo, send it somewhere. And that's what he created. He created it in, I think, one afternoon. Or I couldn't do it as fast, but he's really, really good with his stuff. He learned. So what we see here is a small, and now is a start screen. We can log a case here. You can also say it says, hello, Toby. So why is it doing that? Because the whole authentication is running through Azure Active Directory. So, and this is also one of the reasons why we only have it as internal applications. You will have to have your email address in Azure, or how you also log into Office. So now I want to say, okay, so it's nice that it says hello Toby, but I also want to have an image in here to make it more personal. So let's insert an image. We go and insert media. I'm inserting an image. Okay, so now we have a blank image. Now we need to tell this tool to where do I find the image. So I click on here, image, and this is something I learned, I have to admit. So what I'm actually using here is actually a call function to the Azure Active Directory, because in Azure, in the directory, we have the information of my email address, my name, and a picture. And as I said, I'm marketing, but what you do actually, you learn with doing, you learn these functions. And now I know the call is user, okay, to the Active Directory, and it's helping me already. Oh, I can find image, email, and full name here. So let's take the image. And now it's actually pulling this, it's not sitting anywhere, it's pulling it from that database we already have in our company. So we got it. And now one of the key things when develop applications is always this big testing periods, right? And now I know it's a bit cheesy. If you're a developer, you would say, yeah, Toby, it's not the same thing. But my testing is playing the application. Now we're going to log a new case. Let's log a new case. So what's happening here? Oh, it's a camera control. That's very nice. Okay, so what does this button do here? Okay, it changes the camera. Okay, very good. So let me just redesign this site a little bit. It doesn't look that nice. Okay. So first of all, what we want to do, this button, we have to describe it, right? So a little bit like the Hello Toby, we want to actually add a so-called label, just a text field describing what it does. Let's put it here. Let's make it a little bit smaller. And what you see up here, it's again function, right? So the function is text, and we're just going to call it switch camera. If my English was good, camera, there we go. Why am I showing you this example with a camera? Because we can use all the functionality of your mobile end device. Now just imagine, we have a plugin for Bing Maps, right? So you can actually use a GPS sensor of your device. And with that, you can very quickly, if you then connect it to a database of addresses, and then connect that to, I don't know, a service case, you can very quickly create your own app to send people somewhere. So what we're going to do, make a nice resize. There we go. And the idea of this application is now that we're going to create a picture. So let me, because last time I showed something else, I'm not sure if this is going to work. Let me see. Okay, this is going to be interesting if it works. So I'm going to play this now. I'm going to switch the camera and take a photo of this bottle of water. Okay, let's take a photo. There we go. It's a bit of a test, but let's see. Let's go on submit. Go on submit. So I'm jumping out now. Going on 11. There we go. So what we did now, we created an application. But for every application, you want to do some sort of automation. Something is happening right now. In this case, what is happening is that we're actually having a flow kicked off. You remember IFTT, if this and that trigger action. The trigger is Power App sending a picture. The picture is sent to Azure Cognitive Services, which is actually, and this in this case, a standard thing, nothing trained, nothing fancy, which is just there to identify what this picture is. This will give me an output describing what it sees on the picture, a variable. It might have more variables, so I tell them, okay, and summarize it all in a sentence. Put that back into the common data service, attached to whatever case we just opened. Okay, this is interesting. And send that information back to Power Apps. So that's the whole idea of flow. And also here, it can be very extensive. This is a very easy flow, but it can be extensive. But we can actually integrate everything in here we have from Azure. So all that AI stuff we can integrate. So just to give you an idea of what this can be in a scenario which is a little bit more extensive. So we had a customer who actually had technicians out in the field looking after servicing coffee machines, right? And so they had different models, looked a little bit similar. So what they actually trained the AI algorithm, the cognitive services on being able to identify with a picture what machine that is. So this person was coming to the store, taking a picture, recognizing what it is, automatically saying, this is machine XYZ. Why is that interesting? The person doesn't have to type anything anymore. Was that automatically pulling out of the ERP system all the spare parts? With this ID connected, we also had a database in SharePoint doing the teardown plans. How do I actually do my stuff here? And then, of course, we have FAQ databases. And this is a big scenario, but then also integrating into the Power App on your mobile app, the bot framework, so the technician can just type the questions, pulling out all the information from that FAQ database. Just to give you an idea, this is really the surface for all your data, and you can connect everything. So let's have a look if it works. This is always a point where work. I've created a new case for you that looks like a bottle of water. Like, okay, nice. I trained. This is of course all fake, right? So what I'm actually it's not. So let's do it again. What is missing in this case? I said, okay, this is a problem, or there's a real problem in the room, and I want to take a photo. So now and what's missing in this application for that is a retry button. So let's include a button. So we're going to have a button, right? It's up here, button. And we learned already one thing. I said I'm going to learn 2 or 3 functions. We learned if we want to change the name, that's the function text. So I go in here and look for text. There we are. So let's call this retry. There we go. And then I'm going one thing I'll also learn when I played with Power Apps. Now I want to navigate to a different screen. And you remember that we had all the names of the screens here? So the function here for that is on the select, and there's one thing called onSelect, which is here. On the selection of an object, I want to do something. In this case, I want to navigate. Oh, there's a function called navigate. Okay. It already, oh, you want to navigate. So those are the screens, the names of your screens. I want to go back to this one. Okay. I'm not doing anything, not writing anything, comma. I want to have a transition. Let's do a fade. The only thing I'm going to do is close that. Let's see if that works. And go and retry. There we are. And now let's retry this whole thing with a real problem in the room, right? And let's go and submit. But this was a very, very short demo. I know it's simple, but it's about showing you that this is a tool which is it really can make a difference. Oh, there we go. Like the man wearing glasses smiling at the camera. So this was not fake, okay? So and just to show you what we also connect, we connected to Azure Active Directory. We're writing something into the common data service. We were actually exchanging data with our cognitive services, our AI capabilities. So, and this is just a small demo. It's so our customers come up with so many great ideas, and that's what we're going to do right now. So let me just quickly go back to extend. Looking at the time, this is going to be a good one. Okay, so let me just quickly go in here. So now I can say, okay, we get it. It's, it's kind of a big thing. It's for Microsoft, and it's there. It's getting to be there, and you can do a lot with it. But our customers using it. So from general availability end of 2016, our environments, our tenants are spinning up like hell. Once a customer is starting to get what they can do with it, they will really start going. So just right here, we started with also so partners saying, oh, this is easy. Let's create an application for your Cantina. Let's do a Cantina app, which is perfect. Customer happy, create a Cantina app, staff happy, which is good. But that's just a small view what you can do with this thing. The real big thing is to actually establish this as a platform for your digital transformation. Big word, right? So let's come to that. It's not only application modernization, so you can say make my apps nice, but it's also exactly the second part. So what are the key points where we see the discussions and where these things pop up? Budget and time constraints. Oh, IT says, yeah, we can do that for you. It costs you 100,000 to create that app, and it will take 6 weeks, which is understandable if you code. But then they also know it's going to be a back and forth of this changed color, and it's just and it's just going to be a hassle. Budget and time constraint. Business expectations, of course. And you can say ever expecting rising business expectation, bash on the business, but no, there's stress from the bloody markets out there. We are in the challenge of digital disruptors out there. So we need to be a lot more flexible. So they are in a lot of pain. And this is a funny one. There's so many paper processes we have. And if I'm going to go around this conference, I will find Microsofties having still paper lists of people. And that's where I say, hey, guys, you should use Power Apps. But it's really the paper and complex and paper processes where you just look in your company, left and right, you will find them. And why is this interesting? Also from a compliance process perspective. If you have something with paper and a handwriting you can't read, and suddenly you might have a compliance problem. And the complex process is also a challenge. Once you start having a process touching multiple systems, jumping from an email messaging system to a CRM system to a service to an ERP to a database, that's a big thing. But if you have all that connected or connected one by one after another, depending on what you need, it suddenly becomes a lot easier. You have legacy apps, and of course, everyone wants you to rip out and replace those legacy apps, but sometimes you just can't shut it off. But you want to do something with the data, so you can actually rejuvenalize, make it younger again. Just use the data and have a nice interface for it. Don't need to rip out and replace data. Shadow IT is often a topic, specifically when you looked into old stuff like Access or Lotus Notes. How do you manage that? And that was also a big topic about 1 to 2 years ago. I don't have the time to go into too much detail, but I actually have the release notes in a point drive for you where you can go into the detail. We have now proper application lifecycle management, the whole enterprise shebang to manage those environments, to have control over it. It's there. You still have to have a change management and a concept around it, of course, but the tools are there. So you have two sides of the medal. One is, of course, you have all those small applications. You can suddenly now modernize a new platform you can very easily manage. And actually moving those things is a lot easier and it's not too expensive. And with that, you actually have the foundation that the IT actually has the tools in place, or the partner who manages the customer, to a lot faster react to whatever is needed from the customer, right? And the customer being the departments in this case. And this will, just with the digital stress we have and the digital transformation, it will just it will actually just be just come on, and now they have something to react faster. So this is about, in this case, we usually talk to IT, right? And this is when we talk about legacy modernization. Whenever you have a zoo of apps and want to make it more modern, you should think of putting it on a platform you can manage, and then have a platform which actually brings you in the future to react faster. The second one is bottom-up digital transformation. Why bottom-up? Everyone talks about it. If you go in every company, everyone will at least say, yeah, we're going to do something. And often it's, we're going to have this big strategy. We're going to have this. We're going to create that company. We're going to have a new product. If you ask the people in the business, so what is digital transformation for you? Yeah, I have to sell. I have to do my normal things. I might see 1 or 2 small things, but I don't really feel like what we're doing. So in this case, it's all about allowing, with the citizen developer approach, to give innovation potential and dig into that innovation potential which is there already. People in the business know what they want to do. Define a couple of champions and they will start renovating all your business processes. And with that, you usually talk to the innovation officers in this case. So I'm just going to jump on the demos just from the time. We could just have a couple of minutes. Just want to give you a couple of examples. So PepsiCo, they actually, what they used it for, there was one of our first customers, they use it since 2016. So they actually used it to do store management and retail. So when the Pepsi driver goes there or someone looks into the store, they want to know, is it displayed the right way? Is it on the right shelf? But they all the same thing. They actually might want to see how's the competition doing it. So they actually created a small application with a checklist for someone going in the store, and including the function of taking a photo that they actually know what's going on, right? Driven by IT. So this one is an extreme case. I think it's from South Africa. And this lady from IT said, hey, business is always challenging me, putting me under pressure. I'll just give the tool to them. And I'm going to have my own app factory within the business. And she trained, that's very blunt, a third of the 55,000 employees, creating dozens of applications. And not every, don't get me wrong, not every application is going to be a charm. But she can manage and identify which applications are used, see that in the dashboard, and then hop onto them and see if she can help and make them better. Another one, Autoglass. Carglass, do you have that in Portugal? So this actually is a nice story, and it's confirmed by a Spanish colleague from mine who said, I've seen a power app recently. Like, where? I had a problem with my windshield. And then the guy came and he had a power app on his smartphone. So what happened here? This is not IT driven. Martin is not IT, he's a dispatcher. The problem was someone was going to fix the windshield, and then if something was unclear, he had to call dispatch. And then they had to argue back and forth, ask the customer. It was a lengthy process. And then it had to be documented in written form. He said, I'm not going to do that anymore. So he created a small application to actually have a checklist to document it, to make a photo of things, what's happening. And then suddenly Martin was not in dispatch anymore, but in IT innovation, and he's created more than 50 applications. And this is rolled out across Europe. So I'm also going to jump that demo. I just want to talk about Remy. Remy comes from IT. He's from the French railway. So if you're looking for any industry schema here, there's not. There's no industry schema. It's across all industries, because you will have those manual and paper processes everywhere. You will have those data silos you need to connect everywhere. So Remy's example. This was the French railway. So they were actually checking their carts for errors. So doing the regular inspections. That was an inspection board, and they had checklists, totally error prone. So what he did, he created a small application, and he reduced error rates drastically. So that's what you do from paper to digital. But then he said, oh, this is actually nice. I can do a lot more. So what can we do? We can actually do technical incident reporting, okay. Training management. Oh, people can sign on your smartphone. I don't have the time for the demo, but any process where you need a digital signature, you can actually create very easily. And we have we have demos for that. It's really easy. Quality control, supply chain, order management, language translation. Just imagine you can actually include the Bing language translator. You don't need to translate an application to different languages. You can automatically translate it. Recruiting, it goes on and on. So there's so many things they already did. And looking at the time, bear with. The other thing is actually a customer doing the same thing. So if it worked, there we go. So let's see. Okay. I tested it several times, but let me try a final time. Otherwise, you're going to get the email for me afterwards. So let me just duplicate, go out of the slideshow, and let's just go into the video directly. It just doesn't want to do it. Okay, then let me just go on YouTube. Let's do it easy. Why not, right? So then you also know how to find it. Let's just go on duplicate screen. There we go. Perfect. So you should see my screen. Let's go on Hero. This is really fast. Hero Power Apps. See if it finds it that way. Oh no, I mistyped. Just bear with me because this is a really nice finish. There we are. Okay, so let's have a look. It's 1 minute 25. Not too long.
I want to make a difference. When I left school at 16, my dad was working in Heathrow at the time, and this opportunity came up as becoming a security officer. I thought, what a great opportunity, you know. My dad used to take me here to watch seaplanes and everything. So why not work for a company or an airport like Heathrow? So I've been a security officer for 13 years. When I saw the amount of paper and time we were spending, I saw an app would be a great solution for these problems to be solved. About a year ago, I started learning about the Microsoft programs. I went home and I looked at a blog from Power Apps, and it said, this is how you can build an app. And I thought, why didn't no one know this? Because this could have so much potential to change so many things. We have saved 11,000 sheets of paper and saved around 288 hours of manual input data. Going from paper to digital has been amazing. It doesn't matter what your skill levels are like, anybody can build this app.
Him with his community of super users have created 17 Power Apps that are already being used across our airport, and this is just the tip of the iceberg.
My name is Sam Athani, and I'm a IT user adoption specialist at Heathrow. There's no limit of what you can create with new technology. I'll create a new career.
So, finishing sentences. Time is nearly over. This is really a revolution going on right now. It's a stable technology, and you might have a lot of questions. What I created for you is a point drive where you actually find the landing page. We actually have a study called Total Economic Impact Study. So that you can really save a lot of money with this. You'll find the video of Samir. You will find other customer videos in there. You will find our webinar listings in there. And I also put a link to the latest release notes. So who's more technical oriented, you will find this is a good starting point. Also, where you find the first learning courses. So this is I heard that from a colleague when you were in the speaker room. So this is my Monday morning challenge for you. When you are next Monday in the morning, shall we start the week? This is where you can know where you can start with the Power Platform. So looking forward to see a lot of things popping up on Portugal. I'm here to support. And if you have questions, I'm here. And be harsh with me, because I don't want to be in my marketing ivory tower. Let's get down to the reality. Thank you very much.